The FBI doesn't spy to begin with. The FBI investigates.
You said it's not spying. Why do you think Attorney General Barr used the word spying, which is obviously a word that the president has used as well?
I can't explain it. I mean, the only explanation I can think of is he used it because the president uses it.
How much work did the FBI do to verify that dossier?
There were a lot of spokes off of that we didn't know whether they were true or false, and we were trying to figure out what we could make of it.
Are you confident you did everything by the book and that the FBI, the people around you, did everything by the book?
Yes.
Well, James Comey having his say. Perhaps he's a little worried about what the Attorney General Bill Barr might be up to and who he might be scrutinizing. Let's bring in Republican Devin Nunes. He, of course, is a California congressman and, more importantly, the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee who has been ahead of the curve on this throughout the story. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning.
Morning. How you guys doing?
Let's go straight to it. James Comey says he did it by the book.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to watch that entire interview because it seems to me like this is a guy who continues to just make a mockery of the entire FBI and the Department of Justice. So, this is the guy who, remember, leaked his memos in order to make sure that a special counsel was created to investigate the president. This is the guy who put an unverified dossier in front of a FISA court. This is the same guy who for months and months and months did not interview George Papadopoulos, who was supposedly the man who knew the supposed European guy who had access to the Clinton emails and knew that the Russians had emails. So there's lots of problems with Comey's story. None of it really matches up with the reality.
Well, one of the other things, Mr. Nunes, that Mr. Comey said last night was he was asked by an audience member, what he made of what Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and Andrew McCabe did at the FBI. And Comey said they made all of us look bad.
Yeah. Well, I think they did make him look bad, but I think he also made him look bad also, and he let them get away with that behavior.
Well, what struck me when Anderson Cooper was interviewing him? We just played that soundbite when he said he was confident that he and everyone working under him did everything by the book. But in another soundbite with Anderson Cooper, he was criticizing Strzok and Page, saying that they should have been disciplined more. So clearly they weren't doing what they were supposed to do, weren't doing it by the book.
Well, look, there's no question as it relates to the FISA on Carter Page that nothing was done by the book. In fact, it was all very irregular, in fact. So this is the whole idea that you could take Clinton campaign dirt and use it. The fact that this is the FBI director, he didn't know that it was the Democrats who paid for it. In fact, he had said that it was the Republicans who had paid for it. So this guy doesn't really know. Well, look, I don't think he's telling the truth is the bottom line here. The former FBI director is not a stupid man. And he's acting awfully stupid. If you go back to, remember when he came before our task force at the end of the last Congress, this is a man who couldn't answer a question. I think over 100 times he said things like, "I don't recall." So whenever put under oath on a body like the legislative body of Congress, the guy couldn't answer a question. He can do a town hall and make a lot of things up. But I think Mr. Comey's in a lot of trouble, and he should be. He made a mess of the FBI.
Congressman, we've been watching the House Judiciary Committee now trying to move forward with contempt charges against the Attorney General. You have to wonder what's behind that when the Attorney General is investigating all of this that you're talking about. But just breaking the last few moments, Axios is reporting your counterpart, the Democrat Adam Schiff, the chair now of the House Intel Committee, is telling Axios that he's considering reviving what's known as inherent contempt powers that would enable him to maybe pursue contempt charges basically against various Trump associates and whatnot, including coercive measures, they say, like actual cash fines. What do you make of that? What does that mean?
Well, what I make of it is that this is somebody who, and the whole team down there on the Democratic side, they've been chasing Russian ghosts in the closet for 2.5 years. So they always have to have a new idea, a new plan. The media picks it up, the media runs with it, they create narratives, but what always ends up is that they always end up in a rabbit hole. They always make fools of themselves and you laugh at them, but the problem is that the mainstream media is so corrupt and such a propaganda arm of the Democratic Party that every day they'll run with these new crazy conspiracy theories that all you can really do is laugh. Look, at the end of the day, people need to be held accountable for lying to the FISA court. All these dirty cops at the FBI need to be held accountable. And here in the legislative branch, I mean, it's just going to continue to be a mockery. I don't think the American people want this investigation to continue. But I guess it's the old saying is, you've already dug a hole deep deeper. They're just going to keep digging.
Now, you're in the House of Representatives. On the other side of the Capitol is the Senate. And it sounds like the Senate Intel Committee, under the helm of North Carolina Senator, Republican Richard Burr, he's calling... somebody dropped something there. He is calling Don Trump Jr. back in front of the committee. Can you explain why the Republican would want to do that?
So remember, in the Senate, they have different rules. Both the Republican and the Democrat have to sign off on a subpoena. So my guess is that this is mostly a Warner play, who's the Democratic lead over there. We'll see what happens. I have to imagine that they're getting close to finishing their report. I mean, you had the Senate Republican leader, the Senate leader, Mitch McConnell, who said that this is over.
Yeah.
Case closed. So I have to assume this is just part of them winding down and tying up any loose ends to their investigation, and they must have some questions that they want to ask.
So you don't think he'll end up in prison or indicted or anything like that?
Well, look, I don't think he's going to come back. I mean,
if he doesn't, what are the consequences?
Look, they can hold him in contempt. They could try to bring him back, but look, the guy spent dozens and dozens of hours with the legislative branch already. My guess is maybe they can work out an accommodation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Congressman, to your last point of a moment ago, many in the mainstream media were predicting that Donald Trump Jr. was going to be indicted for the better part of the last 2 years. And
That's
that
right.
did not happen. So point well taken. We appreciate you coming in this morning, sir.
Thank
Always
you.
a pleasure, guys.
Have a great
Thank you.
weekend.